Hello, it's Jilly here from funcrafttodo@home.com, and before we get started, I'd just like to remind you that if you don't want to hear the voiceover, you can turn the sound down and your subtitles on. So today we're going to make this gorgeous chunky leather look bracelet from a piece of A4 black card. And you need to take a metal ruler and cut strips the width of the ruler. Now you can cut as many as you want, but I used 6 or 7 for this bracelet. And then just do what you see me doing here. And then you're going to put a piece of double-sided tape down the middle, the inside of this strip, as you're rolling it on the ruler. So as you can see, I've used these strips to make large, flat, squarish cardboard beads, or card beads. I'm just using some Anita's gloss here, but you can use whatever varnish or gloss you happen to have. And you need to give each bead a good coat. And just remember, if you don't have any varnish, you can use clear nail polish. And then, as usual, I'm using a waxed toothpick to dry the beads, and I stick the toothpicks in a piece of oasis, which is generally used in floristry. So as I said, I use 7 of these beads altogether. So I just recently discovered these stickers that are meant for putting on nails. They're nail stickers. And I discovered these when I was looking for craft stickers to put on these large flat beads that I've designed. And these nail stickers are absolutely fantastic for crafting. I'm going to be showing you a lot more in the weeks to come what I've actually done with these. They're quite delicate to handle. You have to be quite careful when you try to peel them off the backing. So this is the very first project that I've done with these, and I just thought, if anyone's got these foil nail stickers laying around at home, because you get, I think I got about 90 something sheets in one pack for £7.99, and I got them on Amazon, and I will be putting them in my Amazon shop for people in the UK and in the USA, but hopefully you'll have some laying around at home. So then for each big flat bead you need 2 2-inch pieces of card. And unfortunately you will need a bead rolling tool for this next part, and I do sell these bead rolling tools on my Etsy shop. In my Etsy shop you can find a link on my craft blog, which is www.funcrafttodo@home.com. But if you don't have a bead rolling tool and you can't get hold of one while this crisis is going on, you're just going to have to be inventive. Maybe use a knitting needle or a toothpick or anything that you can use to make these cardboard tubes that are fairly tightly rolled. Well, they do need to be very tightly rolled. And then, as I'm showing you here, you need to be able to get your glue brush into the sides of these big flat beads. So plenty of PVA glue in there. Because what actually happened, when I thought that I could probably string these large beads in the normal ladder stringing way, and I did, to be fair, I did string them, but unfortunately, because there's so much room inside them, it didn't really work very well, and the beads kept flipping over, and kind of it just didn't sit nicely like a bracelet. So I sat for ages in the garden just wondering how I could do the ladder stringing method, and it suddenly came to me to make these tube beads and then use PVA glue to just stick them in the, in where the, well, as you can see here, they need to be pushed in there really, really tight. You have to have several goes at it. Get them in there really, really tight. When the bracelet's actually finished, you can squash these flatter, but not until you've strung them. So here's mine ready to be strung. And this bit you may want to go over several times. It looks complicated when I start stringing, but it's not really. So I used about 4 feet of 1mm round elastic. 4 or 5, I can't remember which. Yeah, I think it was 5. And then I'm not going to try and explain this to you. You can just see what I do. I don't think you need me to tell you what I'm doing. And I haven't speeded this up because I know when you're trying to learn something from somebody else's tutorial, when you get to a part that's quite complicated, I think to speed it up is quite annoying. So if you get the hang of this before we get to the end of this particular part, just, fast forward through it. See, this was the part where the beads, where it didn't work until I put those tubes in there, because the elastic was all loose inside the beads, and it just didn't work very well. So I came up with this, which I'm really pleased with. Actually, I'm going to use this on lots more of my projects. It can get tricky when you're trying to feed elastic through the same tube in 2 different directions, but it's easy enough. If you can do it if you try. How's everyone doing at the moment? Is everyone finding plenty to do? It seems to be going on for a long time, this lockdown. I'm kind of trying to think of things to show people to do with materials that they may have laying around the house. I was quite lucky because when I found these stickers on Amazon, I think they took about 5 days to get to me, which is not too bad. But black card is something that lots of crafters have laying around, and you may have your own stickers, hopefully you will. Because I think it's quite hard for a lot of people who aren't regular crafters, who may not have huge supplies of craft materials. So, like I said, I'm trying to think of things that you can do. The main difficulty with this one is going to be for people that have not got a bead rolling tool. But I think if you can find, say, a 3mm crochet hook or a 3mm knitting needle, if you play around with it, you should be able to find a way to roll that tube and then pull the knitting needle out. If it's a metal one, you could try using the method that I used in the previous video, which I'll put a link up. I'll put a link to that on this page, but I'm not sure how easy that would be. But you can try if you have any small drinking straws in the house. Probably if you held the straw quite firmly between your thumb and your index finger and then just tried to firmly roll it. Actually, I'm just thinking as I'm talking about this, you could use drinking straws, cut them up and stick them inside the beads instead of rolling tubes if you wanted to. I'm sure that where there's a will, there's a way. If you really want to do this, I'm sure that you'll find a way. I am still sending bead tools out to people that want to buy them. I have them in my Etsy shop for US customers and in my Folksy shop for my UK customers. Although UK customers can still order from Etsy. I'll put links on my blog. You'll find a link to my blog on the end screen of this video. I know this does look complicated, but once you've done it, it's not. It's, So we've come to the last bead now. I don't know what kind of weather you're having in the rest of the world, but in the UK for this last couple of weeks it's been like summer. It's been absolutely amazing. So those of us that are lucky enough to have gardens have been able to get out in the garden, but I do feel really sorry for people that haven't got anywhere that they can get out to. So I hope that this crisis doesn't last much longer for the sake of people that are shut indoors with children. It must be really difficult. So I hope you are managing to keep busy. I have got lots more projects in the pipeline. I am trying to post once a week at the moment. I am finding it a bit easier than I was because I've got my mum living here with me now, and I was caring for her at her home, and it was quite difficult to make videos once a week. But now that I'm caring for her here in my home, I am finding it easier to make videos, so fingers crossed I'll be able to keep that up. Now this is still quite chunky here, but if you want it to be less chunky, what you can do is flatten. If you just nip the tops of these beads. You see in a moment, I'm going to show you. See, they're quite wide open there, but you can press them down a bit and kind of flatten the tubes inside. Here we go. To give it a bit of pressure. It's just personal taste. You can just leave them chunky if you want to, but oh, and this is the one that I made last week, the bracelet from last week's tutorial. If you want to watch that, just go to the video before this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and come back next week and there should be another tutorial for you. It's been lovely to have you here. Take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.